Hi, this is Anton Roger with APC Data Analytics. We're here today to learn about the new pricing tool that is used by agents with their local MLS data. We're going to just step through an example today, but this product has been developed over the past 3 years, and it was 30 beta tester agents helped the software company develop the tool that would help them price homes. So as you're looking at the main screen here, every agent would have their own login, and they have access to their local MLS. So their local MLS would be selected by client properties. So under client, what an agent would do is they can add a client, they can add an individual property. All their old charts are here under My Charts. But what we're going to do today is we want to just step through an example. An example is going to be done out of this Charleston Regional MLS. So when an agent wants to run a new chart as an example for their either buyer, seller, or investor client, the first step that they do is they go through and they select New Chart. So under New Chart, what an agent can do is they're creating a search criteria for their MLS. So they can select a property here, or they can do a quick search and just do a simple address and a square footage. So we've entered in previously a house at 123 Main Street. And this is not like Zillow, it's not a Zestimate, it's not pulling an AVM value. It's just labeling a chart and getting some general information on the property. So if we select 123 Main Street, that's the house that we're doing this analysis on as the subject property. So the agent's role is to select the best comps. Now the MLS data is updated hourly. The search criteria here on the left is what they're going to be searching through their MLS data. So on here we have the category. So agents can either do a sales, a residential sales, or a rental. So we're just going to stick to residential sales. Property type. So this property type that we're going to evaluate is a single family home in a neighborhood. So we're going to choose single family detached. We obviously don't want to include condos or townhomes in this analysis. So when they select single family detached, the other categories are year built. Year built would be more specifically if it was a historic home, maybe they want to go back in age and make sure to capture the most similar properties, or if it's a brand new construction and they don't want to enter houses that are too old. So for this category, we're actually going to leave it open on this search. Not all these categories have to be entered. The next section is under subdivision. So this house is in a subdivision called Bell Hall. So when an agent starts entering in the neighborhood information, what happens is it will pull up any information that's relevant for their specific MLS. So on here, we see that there's a neighborhood called Bell Hall in their MLS. The agent can simply select it, and when they hit add, it will select that subdivision. An agent is allowed to enter multiple subdivisions in the search, but if there's enough comps in one subdivision, there's really no need to add additional subdivisions. Price range, so this is on the lower end of this neighborhood. And just stay again, I'm not going to enter in this search criteria for this example, but let's say you had a 1,500 square foot house and there were 6,000 square foot houses in the search criteria, you might limit this search. But just to show you, we're not going to enter square footage here. Zip code is entered if there's a more useful map search if there's not a subdivision. So if there's no subdivision, you have to enter zip code with some other search criteria. By default, we go back 1 year for comps. However, an agent can control how far back in time. So let's just go 6 months on this search because we know there'll be enough data. We generally have up to 2 years of the data, so an agent can go back up to 2 years for their search. So once an agent selects 6 months and they have their search criteria selected here, they can simply hit search. And what it's doing is it's actually coming and pulling the data from the MLS that's updated within the past hour, and it's going to pull how many active, pending, and closed comps based off that search criteria to use as part of the analysis for the property. Now we have, every MLS has its own rules and regulations, but we generally pull on an hourly basis. Some are a little bit quicker. So we show 3 active, 8 pending, and 10 closed sales with 21 total results. Now it's important to understand there are 7 required closed sales in order to run a full analysis. So if you don't end up with 7 closed comps, just go back in time a little bit or open up the search criteria. So what an agent can do is, here's the geo-coordinated map of the comps that we selected. If an agent wants to use the map tool, they can simply enable a polygon and they can include or exclude houses that they want. So if we want to just do this area here, now within this box we have the 3 active, 7 pending, and 8 closed. And this should be similar to a map tool that's available to you within your MLS. So if we clear the polygon, it'll reset to our original search criteria. So if we're happy with this result, 3 active, 8 pending, and 10 closed, what the agent does is they simply hit generate chart, and what it's going to produce for them, it's producing for them a price versus square footage analysis. The blue house is a subject property. So this is the house that we entered under property that's 1,850 square feet in this neighborhood at the address of 123 Main Street. So the blue house is a subject property. The reds are the closed comps. The yellows are the under contracts. And the greens are the closed sales. So for a moment, if we get rid of the pendings by clicking on the legend up here at the top and the actives, let's focus on the sold comps. So the way the analysis works is the blue house is a subject property. This blue curve represents the average price of a home in this neighborhood at any square footage. So what's important about this analysis is we're going away from an average price per square foot, because an average price per square foot is not the accurate way to price homes. What you have to do is every square foot will be at a certain price. So this is the average house in this neighborhood. This first blue band here that you see, the darker blue band, represents where most of the homes will sell. So the first pricing band will incorporate a majority of the closed sales. And when you look at it, a majority are within this darker blue band, with 1 up here and 2 down below. What this upper band represents is these are superior homes in the neighborhood. If a house is going to close in this range, there must be some superior features to the house. Conversely, if it's down in this range here, it will have some inferior features to the house. So, but with a majority closing within this range here. If we put back the pendings, so here are the pending sales, so there's 8 pending sales. And then here's the actives. There's 3 active active listings. But the actives and pendings are not used in the math. They're strictly visual purposes to show to the buyer, seller, investor where the houses are priced relative to the curve. So what we wanted to be able to do as agents is that this blue house here representing the subject property, we wanted to be able to show the other comps. So if I look through, I can scroll through and look at any pictures of any one of these listings, closed, pending, or sold. We have some general data down here that shows year built and the MLS number, but any pictures within MLS will be pulled into the system. So this is a good way to show to clients better and worse houses when you're looking at the analysis. Now this blue house that's a subject property at 1,850 square feet, we're showing it's worth $403,000. $403,215. So what we're doing is we're giving an analysis of market value. So here's a range value with the center point being 403,000. So this estimated market value here is based off this analysis for an 1,850 square foot house. Now this is the average home. We know not every home is average. We know we have some superior houses and maybe some inferior houses and everything in between. So what we want to be able to give the agents the ability to do is rate the house. And what we're doing is when the agent first runs the analysis, it's assuming the house is average across the board. So 3 stars across the board. And what we're doing is giving the agent the ability to rate for site, layout, condition, and quality. So for an example, let's say this house that you're evaluating, it's on a cul-de-sac and it has a nice private wooded lot and the yards may be bigger than average. You as the agent determine, is a buyer going to find this to be a positive response to the site, or a negative, or is it average? So let's say it is a very nice lot, nicer than most of these in the analysis, and a buyer will have very positive feedback. The agent can simply come down here and rate the site. So if we rate it as a 5-star site, watch what's going to happen. It's going to adjust visually where the house is located, but also doing all the analysis. So now we've changed our analysis and saying, now we're going to an above average home because it has a very superior site. So an agent simply comes down and rates for site, layout, is it a master down, open plan, 2-car garage, porch, what are the positive and negatives about layout compared to the closed comps. Also condition. Now condition would be new roof, new HVAC, how well is the house maintained. So that is condition, and it's very important to distinguish that from quality. Quality would be the upgrades. So does it have stainless appliances, granite countertops, hardwood floors? But also keep in mind, let's say every house in this analysis had granite countertops, stainless appliances, and hardwood floors, and the subject property has the same, then there's no adjustment. It's actually an average house with those features. So when we look at on the list here, we also look at seasonality. So seasonality shows today is March 11th, and we are rating the house on a seasonality basis compared to the other closed comps. So again, closed are the red sales, yellows actives. Sorry, yellows are under contract, and the greens are the actives. So if I go look at any one of these closed comps, if I pull this one here, it shows the sales date of February 2nd of this year. So what the program's doing is it's doing analysis based off today's date being March 11th, and it's saying, we're giving you a positive seasonality adjustment of $2,901 based on the 10 closed comp dates. So we're saying it's a better time of year to sell the subject property based off today's date than the closed comps, and therefore adjusting higher. So the agent can also go back and if they're meeting with their seller and the seller says, well, thanks for coming out today, but we want to wait until our kids are out of school in order to list the house. So the agent can come down here and they can change the date. So let's just pick, they want to list on May 23rd. We'll just pick a different date. So if I pick May 23rd, what it's doing on the analytics, now it's adjusting it even higher. So it's specific to the market. It's reading the seasonality of that market and saying, well, May 23rd is even a better date to sell, so we're going to adjust that value analysis even higher for the subject property. At the same time, we're looking at market conditions. So in market conditions, what we're doing is we're reading absorption. We know we have 10 closed in the past 6 months, 8 under contract, and 3 active. So when you look at that combined ratio of active, pending, and closed, we have very little inventory compared to how many buyers are out there. So we're deeming it a strong seller's market. So in a strong seller's market, we're giving a credit to the house because we believe the house is still appreciating and giving it an adjustment value higher. So when we look at the chart, an adjustment value higher is saying, and this displays it. Look, there's 8 under contract. And out of the 8 under contract, there's 7 of them above the average line. So what this is showing is this curve is slowly over time moving higher because of the market conditions and partially right now because of seasonality. So we're adjusting the subject property higher for market conditions. We made adjustments on the site saying it was a 5-star site, so we've actually adjusted the property value higher based off that site rating. This gives us the estimated market value, which is the same as on the chart page. It's showing here's our estimated market value, but we also really want to get the agents to list the house at the right price. So we know if this is truly the market value, here's our suggested list price, because we know the sales price to list price average of these 10 closed comps is 98.32%. So what we're saying is you can list in this price range here to get a contract in this range here. Now, this was a very important tool because a lot of times the agent and the seller might have the right price, but then they arbitrarily come up with the list price, and they might say, well, we want to try $465,000 and see what happens, and then hope that a buyer brings them an offer. Well, we created a probability of sale. So on the probability of sale, what we can show to the client is that, oh, well, $465,000, look, if we list at that price, more than likely you are not going to sell, and it's just going to take a long time to find out you're not going to sell. So let's stay in a realistic price range and give ourselves a high chance of selling in a limited number of days. So this is geared towards sellers and getting them to list at a realistic price range. If you have a really motivated seller, well, maybe they go even lower on the list price to give them a more assured possibility of selling, almost guaranteed probability of selling. So we also talk about days on market, but we talk about days on market differently. So most MLSs and CMA tools, what they do is they just average the days on market together. We are not doing that. What we're doing is we're talking about this DOMX. And what we're terming that is days on market from the final list price. So if a house was listed for 200 days and they made 4 price changes, and after the 4th price change, they sold in 15 days, that's the number we care about. We care about the 15. We don't care about the 200 days they were overpriced. So what we're doing is we're talking about 15 days on the market is the average days that these 10 closed comps were on the market at the final list price. So basically at the correct list price, it should only take 2 weeks to sell in this neighborhood. So the conversation with the seller up front is if we list at our list price and we don't sell in 2 weeks, the market is already telling us we're not at the right price. We should lower the price and get to the right price and look at a new set of buyers. So we also talk about price per square foot. However, we are not averaging price per square foot. And this is the same dilemma that you have as an agent, is that the CMAs and MLSs, they only average price per square foot. So what we're saying here is this house that's 1,850 square feet, it's worth $230 a square foot based off our analysis. So if we go back, that's at this square footage. Let's evaluate this house right here. This house is 1,426 square feet. Now, as agents, we know if we go to the smaller houses, they're going to sell for more per square foot than the bigger ones. So if I simply go down and change the square footage, I can change the square footage and change which house I'm analyzing, and I update the chart. Now we're evaluating this house right here. So when we go back to the analytics tab, that house is worth $272 a square foot. And that's because it's a smaller square foot. So we know that those houses will sell for more per square foot. This is exactly why using an average per square foot with these 10 closed comps will not give you accurate results. So after the analytics tab, we also have a map tab. So in the map tab, everything's geo-coordinated. Again, reds are the closed sales, yellows the pending sales, and the greens are the actives. You can scroll over any one of these, look at the pictures. You can look at the information in here. We have the list format. So in the list format, we have the tab of the active. So here's our active properties. And again, you can look at the pictures in here. Here's our pending sales, list of the pendings. And then here's our closed comps. And it has all the supporting data along with it, including the close date. We have the notes tab. So on the notes tab, this is everything I've been discussing today in a format that's scripted for agents. So this script is taking the individual data from this specific chart and inputting it into a script for agents to talk about seasonality or market conditions, talk about the market value, days on market, what a seller is supposed to or buyer is supposed to do with days on market. So this goes through all the analysis in a script format for agents. We have also created a report format. So in the report format, this is a presentation tool that an agent can use with their buyer or seller client, and it's in a format that they can either send as a PDF or print out. And it's all consolidated into one report that in this case might be 7 or 8 pages long. It's not 80 pages, and it gets to the point pretty quickly with the necessary information. We also are able as agents to email this chart. So if I email this chart to a client, then what will happen is it will be interactive for that buyer or seller, and they'll be able to scroll over, look at the pictures. They can go through everything, however, they can't change anything. It's a read only to them. So when an agent does this analysis and they send it to them, it basically shows them all this data, but the client has no ability to change anything. They can print it out for their clients as well from this tab here. Now, one other feature we've put in here is that if an agent wants to delete a specific comp, let's just take this one for example. Let's say this one was a foreclosure, and let's say their house is not a foreclosure, it's not a distressed sale, and if they want to delete it from the analysis, they simply can come in here, and if they delete it, it's instantly going to recalculate everything for them and do the analysis without that set of comp in, without that specific comp in there. If an agent made a mistake on their search criteria, they can simply hit modify search. It takes them right back to the search page. They make an adjustment, they go right back to the chart. All the agent's old charts would be saved under here, under My Charts. So if I go to My Charts, here's all the old charts that this agent has run. And just to show you how this program works and how drastically different the charts can look, here's a completely separate analysis. So on this analysis, it's a different area. And you can see instantly how many of the active green ones are out there, how many are the closed sales, the red ones, and there is nothing under contract. So what's happening in this market, this is a strong buyer's market because there are really almost no buyers with a lot for sale, and only 10 have closed over the past year. So what the program's doing is, if you notice the blue house here, the analytics are saying that blue house needs to be $20,000 below the line based off of market conditions, because the market conditions we're reading is a strong buyer's market. So if you want to be the seller that's going to sell, you have to actually be below the curve and get to the right price quickly because there's so much inventory. Agents are also able to run rental analysis. So if I go to the rental analysis on here, so this is a similar example to the first chart we ran. The blue house is the subject property. We have a rental price versus the square footage. Similar type of analysis, but this, for investor clients, this shows exactly where this 1,850 square foot house that we're analyzing earlier, it shows it'll rent for $2,280. And it shows the range that it should rent in, and it gives a full analysis for that potential investor, and also shows that this is a strong market for landlords. And the analysis also displays that this house that's 2,200 square feet, sorry, that 1,416 square feet rented for $2,200 a month, that's the same rental income as this house that was almost 2,400 square feet. So what it's doing is it's showing to the client this investment for a long-term investment at a lower price based off the sales analysis is probably a better long-term investment than this one here. We will soon have an upgraded version of this that will be included in the base cost, but what it will do is it'll do a full return on investment for a specific property. So this shows, all the old charts, and an agent can input a client, property, all their old charts, and their MLS that they select would be up here on the right. This is, a quick demonstration of all the capability of APC. And if anybody has any question and answers, they're more than welcome to submit it online. But what we wanted to show to you is, for those of you who are not current APC users, the best way to go and sign up is, if you go to pricing.apcdata.net, there'll be a sign up button. When you go to sign up, it will ask you for some general information, but then you will request your specific MLS. Again, this is an agent-only tool, so a lot of this data that we're displaying to you is because of the MLS rules. You as the agent are the only ones that have right to this data. This is not a public site information, so you have to request the information, just verify that you're an agent and that we have your MLS data, and we can take it from there. We also have videos that display, that go through each concept that we talk about with APC. It'll talk about seasonality and marketing conditions. So again, if you go to our website, you can find these demo videos, and we have a YouTube channel specifically that will go through each step and also do a full demonstration. There's also an intercom button. So if you come to our website, and you need support as an agent, if you click on this intercom button, you can send in a request. If you have questions about, or if there's issues with your data, you can submit any questions on here and we will gladly answer them. This program was developed by agents and for agents. So this is specifically, and we constantly take feedback, we're constantly upgrading the program based off the agent's analysis. That we do a webinar every 2 weeks, and if you look at the schedule, it'll discuss exactly what we're going to go over in that webinar. But if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us at pricing.apcdata.net. Thanks for your time, and feel free to reach us at any time.